major leverage in the time of the first industrial revolution, and because slave labor was needed, and even among African slaves were rated to be the strongest. But even among African slaves, there were people of certain regions that were considered to be stronger than most. And based on their strength, a price was placed on them. So physical might had a lot to do with your economic value during the first industrial revolution. From Great Britain, we begin to have what was first called the Industrial Revolution and which was the second Industrial Revolution. Now, it was first called the Industrial Revolution because that was what brought the advent of industries. It heralded the advent of industries where there were big plants and machineries that were developed to manufacture goods and render technical services. So we moved from primary production to secondary production. So we had huge machineries, and the second industrial revolution was really the age that brought in the middle class. Because typically, slave labor was a thing, had become a very popular thing shortly before the second industrial revolution. And, if they would use slaves to do some of those work, those works are not, they don't require so much skill. And it requires more of energy than skill. So, it's one of the reasons why it was easy for the developed world at that time, the first world, to abolish slave trade. Because now that they have sophisticated machineries to produce goods, then it wasn't so much necessary for them to have much labor. So, though the second industrial revolution was still laborious, but it wasn't as laborious as the first industrial revolution. So it was an advent of huge plants and machineries that produced something, what the essential needs of every consumer. And that was how they started having market advantage, because they were the ones that started producing this, producing that. Before you know it, they started producing automobiles and many sophisticated things. And it went on and on. They started producing a telephone. Many things, many industries were battered through the advent or through the preponderance of the second industrial revolution. So it was basically an age of plants and machineries. It produced the middle class because we now have to have workers and we have to have people in charge of that workers at different levels. Now at the lowest level, we have the lower class. At the middle level, those who have a level of skill to monitor people working, doing the legwork at the plants and industries. So, then above them we have people who were their those are the supervisors. We have people who were their managers, who did not only have technical knowledge, they also have a little bit of managerial skill. That is when soft skills began to become something. Soft skill basically deal with managing people and the situation. Then, and after that, we have some other highly rated soft skills, where if you have to be at the top level, executive level, you would have to go and get an MBA, some special certifications for that. Some will have to get the PhD to be at that level. And education became necessary. Because I'm trying to lay this background because some of the basis for which we were told to go to school then came from the second industrial revolution. And those things are still necessary, but it's just that over the years, there is a way we must understand that in the first industrial revolution, there's a way value was assessed. There is a way, everything in economy, whatever the economy we are, what we offer is value. So, valuable goods and services were offered in the first industrial revolution and the second industrial revolution, during the second industrial revolution. So, but it is the way it is being offered that is changing. Now, of course, then in the world there was 1929, there was a Great Depression. There was a Great Depression that happened, and financial crisis all over the world. It eats every section of the world. And there was need for people to start adjusting to the realities of business world.